we went over the 3D cursor. Now let's go over selection of like how we can actually select multiple objects. So over here to the left, we have the 3D cursor. And right now we have the selection box. Now I have this on by default because that's just my normal workflow. So let's go over the different types of these. Now we can see over here we have W. So what W does is it allows us to cycle through the different ways we can select the objects. So I personally like having the select box. That's just my workflow. And with the select box, we can just click on an object and we can see it will be highlighted to show that it's being selected. Another way we can do this is if we hold down the shift button. So I'm currently just holding it down, and then I can select the objects that I want to also select. So this is how we can select multiple objects. Now let's say I don't want to have the cube selected. So I'm going to click on it, then click on it again, and it's going to deselect it. And I'm still holding down the shift button. This is important. So I'm holding down the shift button while I'm clicking on objects to control what objects I want to have selected, what objects I don't want to have selected. So I'm going to deselect the camera, deselect the light, and now only the cube is selected. So I'm going to let go of shift, and then I can just move it, holding down shift, select the light, G, and now I can move both of these. I'm just going to right click to exit out of that. Now with the box select, another cool thing you can do is if you go to the top left, click and drag. If you drag it out, go to the bottom right, whatever is inside of this box will be selected. So I'm going to let go, and now all these objects are selected. Now, another way we can do that is by clicking B on our keyboard. So if you click B, we have this grid right here. And what's really nice about doing the keyboard method is with the grid, we can actually see where the box bounds will be. So if you need to be a bit more precise, B on the keyboard is the way to go. So we're going to click, drag, and we can select the items we want. So that was the box select. Now let's do the circle select. Now the way we cycle through them is if we hover over it, we can actually see, and it'll actually tell you that to cycle is W. So if I click W, click W, we're now in circle select. We can see up here, we have this radius. So by increasing the radius, we can increase the circle. So if I left click and hold it, I'm going to hover over the items I want to click. So again, I'm holding down the left button on my mouse and just dragging it over the items I want to have selected. Now I'm going to let go. And now I have all those objects selected. So if I click W again, this is Lasso. So let's just select anywhere. And with Lasso, just like the name in tiles, we can create a lasso over the objects we want to have selected. Clicking W again, we have the select and move. So with the select and move, we can just select an object, click, and we can just drag it around. If I click W again, we're back to box select. Now, the way that I use Blender, my personal workflow, is I just have it on box select. That's my personal preference on how I use Blender. So I have it on box select. And then for the 3D cursor, I just do shift the right button on my mouse, just drag it wherever I want it, or shift S, cursor to selected. And that's my workflow for the selection and the 3D cursor.